But Bob Joyce, our man on the spot when he's not doing play-by-play stuff, he's all over the place at different camps and practices and stuff. And Uconn football opened up their camp this week. Now, Ben, correct me if I'm wrong. They're not allowed to practice with footballs?
No, there's just a limit. NCAA put a rule out like
touches?
a couple years ago. It's a time limit on footballs being used in practice. So you can go out to a Uconn. I love Coach Moore and his ability to adapt. I was out there last year, and he was doing defensive back drills with tennis balls. And I thought, man, that's a really good idea. You know, the ball's smaller. It's easier to pick up.
I got to say this. The Golden State Warriors, I just watched the whole video on them dribbling basketballs with tennis. You know,
I was thinking the same thing when I saw that. And I was like, man, that's really cool, Coach. He's like, yeah, I know, but it's really because the NCAA won't let us use footballs all the time. Like,
and,
what?
You know, we have Belichick that says the only way you get better at football is to play football.
So true. So it's tough, especially, you know, it's a different kind of ball you're catching. It's got a different flight pattern. It's a lot different. But it is what it is, and that's one of the new rules in the offseason. So yesterday, if you were watching any of the footage from our local television or you just went out there to watch practice, you may see some soccer balls being used on the defensive front. Honestly, I like this idea. Now, I saw them practicing blocked punts with soccer balls. Man, blocked punts with footballs, those hurt. The deep bruises in the thighs that one of them football nips can cause, but they use footballs to do it. I thought that was wise. But, yeah, it's always a fun time when you get around the early weeks of camp because there is a lot of yelling, there's a lot of spit, there's a lot of sweat, there's a lot of what we call hoochba, and you get that really in the first couple of weeks of camp. Thinning out the herd a little bit, finding out who can take some of the pressure, but also putting the kids in crazy adverse situations. That way they can bond and they can come out of the fire stronger. We're still far away from really getting down and dirty in the things, but it was great to see the kids get to stores. A lot of them have been on campus, which that's got to be a weird existence. I mean, a lot of the football teams, I used to do this too. I'd stay on campus and just work out, and like we'd have like, I would say about 10% of the team was there, and we'd all work out the whole summer. But even where I went to school in northern Indiana had a little bit more to do than Storrs, Connecticut. Like, to be at Storrs, Connecticut all summer long, football's got to be the best option as far as fun goes, right? Like, just going to the weight room. It's got to be.
It's either that or go milk a cow or get in the VOAG program.
So I think
they're not leaving.
A lot of these guys that were from last year's squad, a lot of the standouts were on campus all summer long. So they've had a lot of work in. One of those guys being the team captain on the defensive side, Jackson Mitchell, who Bob Joyce got to talk with as well. We'll hear from him during this segment. But wanted to play you a couple of cuts from Jim Moore that Bob got. Last year on the first day of camp.
Well, things run smooth, more smooth. As you said, everyone kind of knows where to go, you know, and the young guys, if they just fall in line and they just follow the lead of the guys that have been here before, then it certainly, you know, helps practice move along the right way. And you know, there's a lot of things we have to do better. A lot of things you have to remind them of every time you come back on the field. Heck, I have to remind myself, you know, where do I go? What do I do? What do I say? But we learn quickly. And like I said, our players are different kids, man, and they take it so serious, and it's important to them, and you can see it in the way they conduct their business out here.
I really think he established the culture last year and got everybody basically knowing the standards that are Coach Moore's standards and when they come in here. Jackson Mitchell actually talks about that first and foremost with Bob Joyce, and Bob got to sit down with the linebacker from Ridgefield. This guy, I'm going to tell you right now, man, he's on a couple of award lists already. Just one came out today. Let me hold on.
Bronco
Practice this with Joyce earlier today.
Old time.
I know exactly who he is. I don't know
tar out of somebody, linebacker.
The Nagurski Award. He's on the watch list. But you are correct. Your explanation or your demonstration of beating the tar out of anybody on the football field is exactly how been there in the past.
I mean, I think this year, it's like I said, he's just stressing the mental toughness. Last year he was, getting to a bowl game was good for us. Now this year, it's completely different. Like 6-6 is not even average, it's below average for us. Our standards are way higher this year, and he's kind of stressed that our standards need to improve. If we want to improve it, we want to get to the level we say we want to get to, because 6-6 and Myrtle Beach Bowl isn't really what we want for this program.
I love that. 6-6 in the Myrtle Beach Bowl isn't really what we want for this program. Put that quote in a bottle and drink it all season long. I totally agree with that. I always think of shooting for the moon to get over the fence. And these guys, as much as we're scared about that NC State game August 31st, they are not. They are not. They are thinking payback from when they went down to Raleigh last year. And I wouldn't say they got embarrassed. We thought they held their own for a couple of quarters there, but they're not happy with those results. I just love how the standard has changed over there for this football program. 2 years ago, we were going to be happy to beat an FCS team and have a win. Now, we're not satisfied with 6-6. That's the way it should be. Going into a football season. So really
it'll take a few more years for Jim Moore to bring all of his kids in. He's still got a couple more years before the last coach and Edsall's people, those kids are gone. And it takes time. Like you said, and it's changing the culture. Like Jim Moore is talking about guys that have a more professional attitude. They come in, and honestly, there's no better way. If you look at the baseball program or hockey or basketball, there's nothing to do out in stores. And this is more of a rural state than you would be led to believe with the insurance capital of the world and the Constitution state. No, it's very go to Tolland. Go to stores, take a drive out in the country, and see what those kids. Listen, my wife went there. My sister, I used to move her in the 70s. Wasn't a lot out there. There's a lot more out there, but the best thing is less for kids to get into trouble doing.
That's a good point. That's
less
a really good
for them to get into trouble doing.
Well, also I've heard this comment from several coaches over there. I think Jim Penders is the one I heard from first, but I even heard it from Coach Edsall back in the day. I know the basketball coaches feel the same. These kids want to be here.
Yeah.
They go to stores, not for stores.
Right.
They go to play their sport because they know that they're going to an institution that can put them off to the next level. This team included, you were doing some fake throws there, talking about the expectations of
we need the
Uconn.
passing game to be a little bit better.
That's the biggest question mark, and we talk to Jim Moore about this every single time we have him on. Like, dude, if I was playing your team, 8 in the box, man up, you cannot throw the football. And you say, I agree with you. They're definitely making some changes there. The one thing I can give you confidence in is a crowded quarterback room. And there are 3 guys, maybe 4 guys, that are competing in the next couple of weeks for that top spot. It's not given. It's not been named. Who knows who's going to grab it and take it? But I'll tell you one thing. It's not going to be a favoritism. It's not going to be a friend of a friend to get a job. It's going to be the best man for the job. And the one thing I'll say for the passing game, again, for confidence, besides the crowded quarterback room, Christian Haynes is back. One of the best linemen that we've had in the last couple of years. I got another award watch list Haynes is on. Christian Haynes tab for the Outland Trophy watch list of 2023, one of the best linemen in the country. Mm-hmm. I know you need 5, but that kid is a leader. That kid, if you've watched him over the last couple of years, he jumps out at you as being the one guy that you can always count on to do his job up front. And I think he is going to have the rest of the guys in a complete unison group, a great unit up front that's going to make life easy for the quarterback and whoever wants to run the football, because that's a crowded backfield as well. There's just a lot of options back there. Hopefully one will emerge to be better than average.
Just wanted to bring you up to date on Bronco Nagurski. Played with the Bears from 1930 to 1937.
Yeah, Nagurski.
Ran a 10.2 100. It was also a professional wrestler.
I didn't know
After
that.
his career was over, 6'2", 227 for the day was huge in 1930.
10-2 is flying.
Known as being
10-2 is
one of the
flying.
toughest, fastest linebackers to ever play in the Professional Football League. He's in the Hall of Fame.
I hope Jackson Mitchell gets that award. He's going to have a lot of opportunities. One thing for for him, he needs to stay healthy and on that football field. On top of Eric Watt and everything else for the defense that we definitely need to be clicking, Jackson Mitchell's health and for him to play 13 games would be excellent, just excellent all season long. I really wanted to play you this. This is Coach Mora talking about conference realignment. It's a little long. Dom already touched on some of the pieces that he said, but I think this is just hits the nail on the head of where the football program is, maybe where the athletic department is based on Big 12, ACC, or conference realignment to a Power 5.
I've tried to limit the energy I spend on it because I can't control it. But, I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that's, it's back here percolating a little bit because there are things happening and there is so much uncertainty. I think that today, for me, I flipped the switch to it's all about 2023. And I haven't really thought about it today. But yesterday I thought about it a little bit. I'm like anybody. I'm going to jump on Twitter and you see the rumors and I might know a little bit more than some of these people that are saying some things. And so, I want to hit the comment and say, you don't know, which you can't do, obviously. But I think it's exciting. I think there's some great possibilities out there. I've stated this publicly that I think that, if we have the opportunity to enter a Power 5 conference, that it not only helps football, but it helps this athletic department, and most importantly, it helps our student athletes because it gives them more resources and more options and a greater platform. And I say that understanding how attached the people here are to the Big East, and the passion for basketball. But I think when I look at it purely as a football coach, I say, of course we want to be in a Power 5. But I also take that hat off and look at it from the perspective of I'm an employee of the University of Connecticut. I think it'd be great for our athletic department and our university. And, I think it obviously would require some transition in the thought process of some of our fans that are so emotionally attached to the Big East and going to Madison Square Garden. And how can you discount 16 national championships in basketball? You have to pay respect to that, and I think we do. But I just feel like, for us as a football program and us as an athletic department in the university, it's if we get that opportunity, you gotta take it.
Well said. Again, we've looked it up. $44 million per school was the money doled out in 2022 for the football conference of the Big 12, and that would go a long way. Whether or not Uconn is at the top or the bottom of the conference in football, they're going to be in the top in basketball and baseball and everything else. But that $44 million, man, digs you out of a lot of holes that they've been in the last couple of years financially.
And it would suck not to have the Nova matchups, which I think will happen in a non-conference form or fashion, just like we're trying to get Syracuse deals done, trying to get deals done with some of the former Big East schools. And I think those matchups will still be there. I like the idea. Listen, my personal opinion, I would love for UConn to be ACC because I think that makes more sense just as far as travel-wise and for every sport than it does for the Big 12. However, if you do go Big 12 route, basketball fans, men's basketball fans, Kansas, UConn, home and away, tell me you ain't going to love that.
Yep.
Kansas coming to the XL? What? Baylor? Remember Houston, Cincinnati, UCF, the better teams in the American Conference back when they were in it? I think there's some juicy matchups. I know Texas and Oklahoma are going to the SEC, and that's fine.
Though, you still get UCF. You still get West Virginia.
Oklahoma State coming here?
Oklahoma
basketball?
State, dude. I almost went to Oklahoma State for baseball. They are a powerhouse in sports, especially football.
Good point. I think if you're a baseball
fans, man, every year they get 5 guys drafted off their team.
Think about this, baseball fans that are UConn, and we talk to a lot of them. Like, so many people come up to us and are proud that we air UConn baseball games.
TCU was in the top 4 in football in the country last year.
But just think of the baseball conference where if we didn't win the Big East championship, we would had no, and we didn't get any kind of consideration to host a regional in baseball, which again is a lot of money for not only the campus, not only stores, but everybody here in Hartford that owns a business. If you're in the Big 12, your RPI just went up 50 points. I mean, to be a 57 RPI team with like 10 losses on your record, being like a 40-10 baseball team, that's just because of the crappy conference that you're in. Yeah. To go to that conference, you automatically get invited to so many more parties that you didn't as a Big East member.